morning. Welcome to the New Jersey Morning Show. Today is Thursday, March 23rd. I'm Cara Falco.
And I'm Kristina Behr. We're so glad you could join us today. Before we get to your top stories, let's get a check of that forecast. Meteorologist Mike Favetta, spring has officially sprung, and it is actually kind of feeling like
it's pretty nice, yeah.
It is. You feel it with the allergies, too. I've got a little congestion. Many New Jerseyans waking up this morning with a little bit of a stuffy nose, as been the case the last week. Pollen is pretty high across the Garden State. We'll talk more about that in just a bit, but a little bit of refreshing rain falling across certain parts of the state earlier today. Some of those showers working through central and southern parts of New Jersey. They're predominantly along I-95 and even over out toward the Parkway. However, there will be some clearing later on, I think by tomorrow into our Sunday, with a little bit of rain in between. So we look outside this morning with some clouds around, and those clouds are hanging pretty low throughout this morning. Temperatures climbed to 63 degrees later today. It was a milder start, and there'll be a rather mild finish with those temperatures bringing in that spring-like feeling. The question is, does it last? We'll have all those details and more coming up with a check of your weekend weather and look ahead at what next week's weather brings with the first full week of spring that's coming up in just a few minutes. Cara and Kristina.
All right, Mike, thanks so much.
Sounding good.
Yeah.
All right, let's check in with Don Smith on standby in the traffic center, see if the commute is looking as good as the weather. Don?
Yeah, not so much, Cara. Good morning to you. Good morning, Kristina. As you say, Kristina, a lot of nonsense on the road. I love that word. Yes, that's what we got cooking here this morning. So let's go to our maps, and we will start it off actually in South Jersey. We got a big problem here on 42 north of Deptford, getting out to 295. We've got a jackknife tractor trailer, and it's closing up the ramp to 295. So let's go to the camera here this morning, and this is just south of the 295 interchange. Let me see if I can expand and show you this just a little bit better for us. There it is right in the center. So you see that exit ramp to 295 north is shut, sort of forcing all the traffic here to get on to basically westbound 76 here this morning. So until that's completely cleared, you're seeing the big delays as we show you with this getting well south of Route 55. Just an absolute parking lot here this morning. So that's going to run you probably a good 15 or 20 minutes more here out of Deptford towards Belmar into 76. So you can keep that in mind if you're coming out of the Gloucester Township area, trying to Ben Franklin or Walt Whitman bridges. We expand here in South Jersey, and the rest of it looks good. Along 295, the Turnpike, things are fine. 30, 322, Atlantic City, Somers Point, Ocean City, Stone Harbor, Wildwood, Little Egg Harbor Township. All the short points are clean and green all across the board, even into Central Jersey as we make our way into basically Edison along 287. Still some congestion both ways in between exits 13 through 12. The Parkway is finally thinned out. Southbound side of the Turnpike now setting up road work getting south into Interchange 10 on the truck side of things, so be mindful of that. And then Route 18 is really tuned up here to getting into Edgeboro Road. That's with that long-term construction going to be out there the next couple of years with that repair being done. Let's go to the incident list. We'll take this out of the queue. And let me just go ahead and make this minimize just a little bit. We still have another crash here, but it doesn't look like, I think that's gone now north at 9. The Parkway southbound at 159, there's a crash. And again, there's our jackknife tractor trailer. And the eastbound side of 80, we'll quickly just give you the update there. Looks like that crash also is out of the way right in the area of Route 20. Let's go towards the bridges and tunnels. We'll look at about 40 at the George, about 40 at the Lincoln, about a half an hour at the Holland Tunnel. New Jersey Transit still about 15 minutes here along the river line. And that is what is happening here so far on, again, another busy morning in the Garden State. Cara, Kristina, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks so much, Don.
All right, to your top stories now. This was a tough one. 8 dolphins died after washing ashore in Sea Isle City on Tuesday. 6 of the 8 dolphins were still alive when they were found, but they eventually had to be euthanized. It's the largest of several strandings that have occurred in recent weeks, and officials will examine the dolphins to determine the cause of their death. But you see those workers there in the photos pouring water on the dolphins, and it's just tough to see, you know.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of that lately.
There's been a lot of that. It's really heartbreaking.
A lot of concern.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Also, the search continues for a state trooper who went missing on Sunday while receiving medical care in Pennsylvania. 46-year-old Jason Dare of Vineland was last seen leaving a facility in Media, Pennsylvania. The search is reportedly centered in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. Anyone with information is asked to contact the state police immediately.
That's a tough one, too. And the 29-year-old woman who was caught attending classes at New Brunswick High School in January, now in court. We told you about this story. The attorney for Hijan Shing says that she meant no harm and simply wanted to return to the warm environment that high school provided for her. Shin is now facing third-degree charges for falsifying documents. So her lawyer basically in court said she was lonely. She wanted that feeling of sort of nostalgia and being back in school. And it's actually really sad.
Who picks high school to go back to?
But
I'm
it's actually,
sorry.
when you think about it, big. Yeah, I know. I would never.
I would say, of all the warm, fuzzy feelings, high school was not it.
Especially junior high school. With the Sally Jesse Raphael glasses.
Yeah,
and the braces.
There was bangs. No. It was not a good look.
But, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's
sad, and it speaks more to the mental health issues that we have in this country.
But they determined she was no threat. It's just, I think the bigger issue here, too, is the fact that she went undiscovered for so long.
Yes.
You know, I think that's the bigger issue here, too. Like, what was going on with the security, and then she was able to falsify documents and say she was a teenager when she's 29.
Yeah.
You know, so that, you know, that should definitely be looked into as well.
Of course.
Just overall, sad.
Exactly. So a church community is picking up the pieces after an 8-alarm fire burned down the Fountain of Life in Florence on Monday. Look at those flames. The fire was so large that parts of the building were still smoldering on Tuesday morning as firefighters from nearby towns arrived to help with the response. Thankfully, no one was hurt in the fire.
And the pastor said that they will be holding service this Sunday despite of all of that because they want to continue with their faith and they feel it's what they need to do for the community.
So I think you hear that so often. I mean, we've covered enough church fires between the two of us that's often what they do because it is that's probably the most critical time to come together as a community, you know, share a space, share that grief and then start again.
But that was, I mean, that fire, 8 alarms.
8 alarms is massive.
It burned for hours, so hopefully they get some answers and they can rebuild.
And that they can rebuild, absolutely. Absolutely. So there's an iconic cafe in Union that was damaged after it was hit by a car on Tuesday morning. The car went through the front door and windows of Van Gogh's Ear Cafe. The driver was not injured. The building has no structural damage, no word yet on what caused the accident. So hopefully, again, they're just able to kind of clean up and rebuild and pick up the pieces. Yeah,
and the owner's saying, look, if you want to help us, buy a gift card to our, to the
store.
Cafe, so when we do reopen, we are not losing all of that money that we would have made from customers.
Yes.
So, if you want to help out, that's a good way to do it, and go to their Facebook page to find out how you can do that. Rutgers President Jonathan Holloway is facing criticism from the faculty union after sending an email claiming a potential strike would be unlawful. In another email to students, Holloway said the most recent offer from the administration provided a pay raise that exceeded the last agreement made in 2019. Now, a strike could begin soon after union members authorized it in a vote earlier this month.
It's going to be an interesting one to watch.
And we had someone on from the union, and they said, look, we don't want to have a strike.
Right.
We're trying to make this as most accommodating for the students so they don't lose out.
Yeah.
But you understand why.
Yeah, you do. Absolutely.
Speaking of Rutgers, they announced plans to construct a new medical school and a research facility in New Brunswick. Rutgers Health at the Helix will become the new home for the Rutgers Robert Wood Johnson Medical School and Research Lab. This is really cool. Construction on the new facility will begin later this spring. It'll also house 80 research teams in the building. And it's supposed to be the state-of-the-art, really cool building. So they're just building up New Brunswick.
They are buying up properties and building up New Brunswick, and it's very cool. It's as a former student, and our producer Chris is a more recent former student, but it's very funny for me to go back because literally in the parking lot where my car was broken into and my aftermarket CD player stolen, there's a bowling alley and a movie theater now. Okay, I'm like, what What happened?
When did this change?
When did this change? It was like a vacant lot.
Yeah, I mean, but you just drive down, some of the main roads there, and it's like there's, bulldozers and
it's constant. Yeah, but it's cool. It's cool to see it. I'm glad the kids have all the resources that they do because they deserve it. Absolutely. So Governor Murphy signed 3 bills that are aimed at helping small business owners comply with state regulations. One of the bills will establish a small business manual that will simplify the regulations business owners have to comply with. Another would help organize customer assistance information. And the third bill would give businesses more time to take care of regulatory violations. And this is good because it's extremely difficult, I think, anywhere, but particularly in this state. There's a lot of nuance and there's a lot of, if-then, where it's, if you are a sole proprietor, then you don't have to do this. But if you are, you have 10 or more employees,
so
it's like, what?
Can we just streamline
just make one.
Yeah, just
what
make
are the
it all
rules?
one. Yeah, exactly. So that's a really good.
That'll be good. That'll be helpful for sure. All right, guys, coming up next, why a commuter bus company is stopping service to New York City.
Plus, why you may be able to get a beer at New Jersey malls.
And don't forget, you can now watch the New Jersey Morning Show live on Roku. Just get the On New Jersey Roku app, then click Watch Live. It's free, no cable subscription required. If you miss the show, you can always watch it anytime on demand on Roku.
You're watching On New Jersey, the Garden State source for news, talk, sports, and entertainment.
We have big news here for On New Jersey.
We have an amazing show tonight, as we always do.
We are here at the iconic Drum Thwacket in Princeton with First Lady Tammy Murphy.
Will audiences be expecting you to talk Real Housewives issues?
We're going to be discussing everything from working with small businesses to mental health initiatives.
Work has begun on the New Jersey Hall of Fame at American Dream Mall.
Here now to give us some more insight on the Giants' 5-1 start is Paul Patino. Paul, great to have you back on. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us.
Yeah, you're going to come at us, we're going to come at you 10 times harder.
Watch the Italian America Show every Sunday night at 8 p.m. on News 12 Plus and celebrate the best of Italian American culture. Each week, we will feature an exclusive interview with a prominent Italian American from around the country. You can watch the Italian America Show on Optimum 61, Verizon 530, or stream live from anywhere on News12.plus. For more on Order Sons and Daughters of Italy in America, visit osaya.org and follow along on social media.
Welcome back. Let's head back over to meteorologist Mike Favetta for another look at the forecast. A little bit of rain today, right?
Little bit of wet weather, and even though there's a break right now across most of northern New Jersey, I think everybody sees those showers later today. So a spring shower in the offing a little bit early as we start to wrap up March and look ahead to the milder days of April. You see a lot of these showers here moving east, but there's also some more wet weather here off to the west, and that will eventually move in later on today, giving us some of those showers throughout this afternoon, even into this evening. As far as today's forecast, it's pretty mild, 63 degrees in Newark. You'll start to see those cherry blossoms budding over at Branchbrook Park very soon. 64 in Trenton, and even the daffodils popping up across most of the state. The crocuses, I've seen some of those down toward Camden, 66 today, and even Atlantic City, 59 degrees. Now, by tomorrow, while there's another round of wet weather ahead, most of the rain is saved for Saturday. Saturday's a pretty wet day with some showers on and off, and it's also a bit cooler than it will be today by about 15 degrees. So plan on a chilly rain throughout the day on Saturday. Good news is it doesn't last all weekend because the sun returns on Sunday, and we've got a beautiful finish to the weekend. 60 degrees, mostly sunny skies, a really nice way to kick off the first full week of spring beginning next week. But that also means a pretty big return to the pollen. We'll talk more about that with the pollen report and give you details on the 7-day forecast. All that and more coming up with your next weather update in just a few minutes.
Yeah, some folks already feeling that pollen.
Oh, yeah.
It's been pretty bad so far.
It's rough.
Yeah. All right, Mike, thanks so much.
And let's get a check of the roads with Don Smith and see how the commute is shaping up. And the weather's not helping anybody today, huh?
It is not. Yeah, it's just some cloudiness. Then we get some peaks of sunshine. Then we get that sun glare involved. So, yeah, it's a little bit difficult as far as to kind of get around. And we also just have some volume and a couple of incidents. So let's get you over to the maps here this morning. We'll go to Rochelle Park. First up is going to be along Route 17. We're seeing a lot of traffic in the normal spots here, friends. Nothing out of the ordinary south of the Garden State Plaza Mall by Passaic Street, Central Avenue. So just look for that. We widen up. 208 has a little bit of construction, they're saying, going south and towards Maple Avenue. But our delays have finally cleared up there. Same thing along 80. A little congestion west of Route 20, but really that's going to be about it into Route 19. Westbound Route 3 is still kind of dialed out here from Route 21 all the way out to Bloomfield Avenue. Eastbound side also very heavy in that location. In fact is we are going to go to the cameras there. Just west of Route 21. I just want to see, earlier this morning it was a bit of a mess. There was an accident just before Bloomfield Avenue, but here at 21, that looks pretty good. And you can see, again, there's the cloudiness, so we get some of the sunshine coming through. So, again, with a little bit of that sun glare. Let's go back to our maps here this morning, widen up just a little bit. Turnpike is good. Parkway, a little heavy north into 147. And then we've got... I'm going to keep an eye on this to see if this 24 construction sets up out by Columbia Turnpike and Florham Park. So the eastbound side here is still pretty busy back to 287. They may be setting that up. So hopefully here in the next 20 minutes or half an hour, we'll get some confirmation if that has gone out. And then east on 80, a little heavy here at 42. Let's go back to the cameras because as I was scanning the cameras in the break, it was 287. We had mentioned that there was a crash out by exit 9. They have it on camera here. You see the right. Yeah, it's probably more the right shoulder is out here this morning before River Road. Just a brief backup. It's not horrible in any capacity whatsoever, just a minor brake check. The other bigger issue here is this 42 situation, northbound ramp to northbound 295 and 42. That is still closed off until further notice. We also have that on camera as well. So let me go down to 42. There it is. This is going to be by Leaf Avenue, which is just south of 295. You see that exit ramp, again, is completely shut. So really backing traffic up quite a bit here this morning. We'll quickly go there, and we'll show you that right in this area. Big, bright red spot, and all is green. So that's probably going to run you almost about 15 or 20 minutes coming out of Deptford, Washington Township, Gloucester, in the Belmar, trying to get up to the Walt Whitman Bridge. Give yourself plenty of additional travel time. Well, that's what's happening here in another busy traffic center. In our next report, we'll take a look at transit and the Hudson River crossings. Cara, Kristina, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks so much, Don. So police say 5 female employees at a Bergen County mall had to be revived after they overdosed on fentanyl. First responders were able to administer Noxolone when they arrived at the shops at Riverside. Meantime, fentanyl usage continues to be a big problem across the country and here in New Jersey. And here now to give us some insight is Bergen County Sheriff Anthony Curtin. Good morning, Sheriff. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Good morning. Good morning. How you doing today?
Good, thank you.
Good, right.
So here in New Jersey and obviously in Bergen County for you, how bad is this fentanyl problem? Because it seems to have really exploded in the recent years.
Recent years it started to explode, as you said, and it's becoming a little more common amongst the younger generation and those in the middle 30s and 40 years of age. Of course, cost plays a factor in it, and it's just these young folks taking it to another level and try to achieve this high, if you want to use that of a better phrase. So.
Yeah, and you hear 5 people at a mall during the day. It's just so shocking when you see the headlines and you're just, it's so surprising. Are there safety concerns in addition to these folks who are using it for the first responders dealing with the fentanyl and the people who are overdosing?
Very much so. The officers have been reminded to make sure they put their protective gears on because, as you know, fentanyl can go through your pores. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, the number is increasing again. And the key to, I think, fighting this whole fentanyl epidemic is the communication with the public. If you do a little further research, you'll see fentanyl comes in various different forms. They have fentanyl that look like Skittles. Right, so you get a young child who come across it, they may think it's candy, but here we go, a situation where they may lose their life because of those who are trying to market this particular drug.
Wow. And fentanyl is, my very limited understanding of drugs in general. It's often mixed with other drugs as well. Isn't it used to kind of cut other things, and sometimes people wind up with it without realizing it? Or are they seeking out specifically fentanyl now?
It's a combination. Yeah, it's cut to give the seller a little more product to sell. However, depending on what it's mixed with, of course, it can have a devastating effect. So when you talk about supply and demand, yes, it'll be mixed with other drugs, unfortunately resulting in the death of others.
So what are the solutions, do you think, for dealing with this growing fentanyl problem? You know, how do you go about tackling this?
Communication. The public has to be involved with this. We need to learn more. That's an everyday challenge, learning more about it. But people need to have an avenue to come forth and be able to have these discussions. Pre-COVID, the Behr County Sheriff's Office had what we call Pathway Forward. And what it was a large bus we could put on the side of the roadway to have people who have some type of narcotic addiction to come to us. We'll provide documentation and, of course, partner with other agencies, specifically the Behr County Prosecutor's Office and Newbridge Medical, which provides additional counseling. This is also in conjunction with the courts. They called it Helping Hand, and we're trying to continue that process right now.
It's about community outreach and all of that stuff too.
Yeah. And it sounds like treatment over punishment, right?
Very important. Very important. Of course, it's a disease. And only way you're going to treat a disease is stand on top of it and make sure we can try to eradicate it. One of the things I do want to put out, they have this new type of fentanyl, or they mix with fentanyl, called Star Trek. And please forgive my pronunciation. I believe it's zycline, and it's like a tranquilizer for the veterinarian use. They're mixing it with the fentanyl now.
Wow.
And we just now recently learned of this, so even more so, users, part of that community outreach, people need to be exposed to this.
Right.
Star Trek.
Wow, that is scary.
I mean, so you mentioned there is county help. Are you getting federal help as well to deal with this?
Across the board, we have constant communication with the Attorney General's office, as well as, again, the prosecutor's office. And we just, in law enforcement world, yes, we need this network across the board, beyond the doors, because, you know, we all see it from different perspectives, but we all got to come to the same common conclusion on how we're going to address it.
Right. It's a community issue as a whole, and to come together, it's really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Sheriff, thank you so much for telling us about this, huge issue here, and for spending time with us this morning. We really do appreciate it.
No, I appreciate the opportunity. Safer community makes everybody's life better.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really, really interesting. It's so funny because he mentioned, pre-COVID, we were able to kind of do this sort of community outreach, and then it was like
then everything comes to a halt because of COVID shutting down everything, and we're still seeing the effects 3 years later.
So absolutely.
It's just heartbreaking, and to know that now there's Star Trek, there's new, substances. It's heartbreaking.
So. Absolutely. It's just talk to your kids.
Yeah,
exactly. This is the big one.
Yeah.
So also an issue in the Garden State, car thefts continue to be a problem, and now lawmakers are sounding the alarm. Assemblywoman Vicki Flynn says she's concerned about a growing trend of thieves using children to help steal cars.
And I'm sure that the criminals knew with all the bail reform measures, this was an easy way to make a quick buck. And also think about the fact that all these kids were not in school during this period of time when all this planning was going on. A lot of these teenagers were not going to school on a daily basis due to the pandemic. And so they were an easy target.
Flynn has drafted legislation that would require minors to be placed on house arrest if they're charged with car theft.
Some better news here. Commuters who use the PATH trains will have a little bit of extra room now. 9 new train cars started service today. This is video of the train cars being delivered back in September. The new trains will be rolled out gradually during the morning and evening commutes.
Talent and location. So you maximize talent. We could talk about that another time. But today is about maximizing location. We have the best location of any state in America, and the job is to maximize the hand you've been dealt.
Well, the move comes as 72 new cars have recently arrived, further expanding the train's capacity. So,
yeah,
all good news.
All good news.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the Path is a nice ride. That's like a super
simple. For the most part, it's on time.
Yeah.
For the most part. No, but it is pretty simple, and you very rarely hear issues, knock on wood, with Path, you know. And there's so many people now that are commuting from,
you know, and it's so funny because I never, in all of our commuting systems, because I've never had to use mass transportation as a form of commuting, but often I use it for enjoyment. Like if we're going to the city for the day, we're taking friends or family from out of town, like take mass transit because it's a nice little thing.
Right.
But yes, I do. Yeah, it makes sense. It's mostly on time. It's a simple ride. It gets you where you need to go.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's clean.
And it's clean. Yes, again, for the most part. Speaking of commuting, DeCamp Bus Lines have announced that they are shutting down their commuter bus service to and from New York City as of April 7th. Now, in a statement, the company says they're making the move in response to a decline in commuter traffic following the COVID-19 pandemic. Monthly ridership on the commuter line is reportedly only 1/5 pre-pandemic levels. Unexpired bus tickets will be refunded. So that's some good news. That's interesting. There's a huge DeCamp bus depot in my town, and it's really interesting that they're...
It's going to be tough on those who rely on that commute. So Governor Murphy, I think this morning even said, we're going to try to find ways to help those who are going to be affected commuter-wise by the shutting down of DeCamp, because I think one of the main lines is in Newark, and so, you know, that kind of leaves all these people hanging, like if they're not near the train system or whatever, so they're going to try to figure out a way to kind of get around this.
Also, I feel like, just again, from my part, like northwestern New Jersey, Sussex County, northwestern Morris County, there's really not... I know they're pushing to build a train system, but it's not there yet.
Yeah.
You still have to, I mean, at best, you're going to commute down 23 to either Mothers or Willowbrook Mall and park and ride.
Yeah. So that's an extra expense.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it puts a burden on the commuter. So hopefully they'll help out those folks who are directly affected by this, because they're still allowing some of the services in terms of going to AC and those kinds of buses.
Right.
But the commuter lines is really what is the issue here.
Right.
So.
And it is, I mean, it's such a weird thing because there's not as many people, a lot of folks get to work from home or hybrid situation. So it's I get it. And at the same time, it's like, okay, but for those few people that are left, they're kind of really stuck now.
Right. What about them?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, tributes continue to come in for former state senator Ron Rice, who passed away last week at the age of 77. One lawmaker who remembers Senator Rice fondly is Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman, who used to serve with him in the state legislature.
A, he was a person who was in the weeds. He knew what he was talking about. B, he had core values that under no circumstances were you going to take him away from those core values. And C, politics was important to him. He understood it, but he was willing to stand up against even his own party if he thought the party was going in the wrong direction.
Well, Rice was the longest serving African-American legislator in New Jersey. So a big loss there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trailblazing, yeah.
Coming up, we're going to tell you where New Jersey ranks on a list of best states to retire.
Plus, we were talking about this earlier. If you have allergies, well, you need to pay attention to the early allergy season.
And you can always find us over on social media. Search for @NJ Morning Show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and click follow.
You're watching On New Jersey, the Garden State source for news, talk, sports, and entertainment.
We have big news here for On New Jersey.
We have an amazing show tonight, as we always do.
We are here at the iconic Drum Placket in Princeton with First Lady Tammy Murphy.
Will audiences be expecting you to talk Real Housewives issues? We're going to be discussing everything from working with small businesses to mental health initiatives.
Work has begun on the New Jersey Hall of Fame at American Dream Mall.
Here now to give us some more insight on the Giants' 5-1 start is Paul Patino. Paul, great to have you back on. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us.
Yeah, you're going to come at us, we're going to come at you 10 times harder.
Watch the Italian America Show every Sunday night at 8 p.m. on News 12 Plus and celebrate the best of Italian American culture. Each week, we will feature an exclusive interview with a prominent Italian American from around the country. You can watch the Italian America Show on Optimum 61, Verizon 530, or stream live from anywhere on News12.plus. For more on Order Sons and Daughters of Italy in America, visit osaya.org and follow along on social media.
Welcome back. I love this story. New Jerseyans, known for having a unique accent, and a new study now says that it could be a challenge when they travel.
Interesting. According to Family Destinations Guide, the New Jersey accent is the 7th most misunderstood state accent in the country. The Northeast featured prominently on the list, with New England states like Rhode Island and Maine topping the list. I didn't know Maine really had that bad of an accent. I know Boston, Massachusetts.
Yeah, for sure.
Maine, interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't pick what a Maine accent might have, but so really quickly, two funny stories, and you can bring Mike in for this because he'll appreciate this. So when I was in college, a lot of my friends were from South Jersey. South Jersey has a separate accent from North Jersey, first and foremost.
Yeah.
So they used to tease me, and they'd go, Cara, do the words, and the words were coffee, water, talk, dog, drawer. Okay. Coffee. And then I had a journalism professor say to me, as I'm doing this in the camera, right? I had a journalism professor say to me, no one will ever put you on TV because you have a heavy Jersey accent and you talk with your hands.
That's so
And my
funny.
TV career started doing traffic in New Jersey, so there was a lot of this, and the accent was okay.
So
we
it's
still
perfect.
do. It still works.
You know
even
what's
here.
funny? I went to school in Boston, excuse me, and I was told I picked up some of the bad habits from Boston. So I'd say like couch, I'd say coach, and like I didn't say pack the car, but like you pick up some of the accents from if you're spending a lot of time in places too. But I was never told I had a Jersey accent, which is interesting. I had roommates in college too, who were from California, different areas, and they're like, "You have a weird accent, but it's not New Jersey."
Oh no, but they were. They were like, you have the
like
heaviest
coffee.
Jersey accent.
But coffee is more like New York.
New York,
too.
New Jersey.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So.
My mom's from Brooklyn County. My dad's from Jersey City. So like
Middlesex County.
I got,
so, yeah. And my parents are from the Bronx and Long Island, so I guess it was a weird hybrid.
Weird mix.
You don't have an accent.
I was gonna say you're not bad, Mike.
You don't have any New Jersey.
Well, because I try to hide it, but when I hear myself like talking to my dog in videos and I'll play it back, I'm like, wait, is that me?
You're like, oh man, there it is.
There's a little bit of a thicker accent too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not as bad as like Joe Pesci in My Cousin Vinny. I know. But Stephanie does a great accent of Marissa Tomei there, you know. With,
that's
with
so
the
funny.
Love to hear that.
Yes.
Yep. So we've got some really great weather on the way. If you're looking to maybe escape New Jersey this weekend, spring break for many of us, you'll maybe want to find some sunnier weather because there is some wet weather around this weekend as we head into the Friday, Saturday time frame. There's a couple opportunities for rain today, tomorrow, and Saturday. However, Sunday looking very pleasant. So maybe a shortened spring break because you want to be back to New Jersey by Sunday to get your water and your coffee. Because with all of the clear sky expected by the time we get to Monday, that's when the mild weather returns and you'll be having the iced coffee here across the state once we get into Monday. Now, with the average temperature holding in the 50s and 60s this time of year, we're actually expected to be a little bit above that, and not only for New Jersey, but most of the East Coast. So, yeah, it'll be a little bit warmer here, I think, by the time we get to the end of next week, as has been the trend across the Garden State throughout much of the season so far, where didn't really have much of a winter per se. It's been unusually mild. Well, that's been the trend. So if we look back to the 1970s, go back about 52 years, the trend of spring has been warming about 1.3 degrees. When you say to yourself, that's not so bad. What's not even a degree and a half of warming in the one season? But remember, climate is kind of like your body temperature. If you had a fever of 1, 2, or like in Atlantic City, 3 degrees, you'd probably feel that. And that's how the Earth works. So with a little bit of a milder trend each year, there are some years that are cooler, there are some years that are warmer, but overall, the trend is ticking to a slightly milder spring, and that's what we'll likely have this spring as well. Regarding the allergies, anticipate a pretty rough go of the allergy season tomorrow and Friday and Saturday and Sunday. I think Monday will probably pop to the high level just with the clear sky around throughout Sunday, allowing for those dry breezes to blow around a lot of that pollen and temperatures spiking into the 60s. We'll take it. It'll be beautiful to start off Sunday and Monday with those temperatures nice and mild. We're well a ways away from the freezing mark too, and then a little chance of a spring shower there on Tuesday. But by Wednesday, holding with that clear sky again at 50 degrees. So some very spring-like weather on the way, looking very pleasant going into next week. Just have to get through a few of those rain chances between now and Saturday.
Looking good. Yeah, we'll take it.
Good. Thanks, Mike.
You bet.
All right, Don Smith has another look at the traffic for us. A couple of hot spots still out there, Don.
That there are. Good morning, ladies. Good morning, Mike. Let's get you over to the maps through this morning, as I promised in our last report and the tease that we're going to show you the Hudson River crossing. So we will do that right now. Looking on average, still the upper to the George Washington Bridge is about 45, about a half an hour for the lower, about 25 to 30 at the Lincoln, and about 20 at the Holland Tunnel. So just kind of keep that in mind getting into the city this morning. New Jersey Transit still about 15 minutes here along the River Line, but everything else is on or close to schedule, unlike yesterday afternoon and evening with the those big brush fires in Edison that shut down the Northeast Corridor for some time. It was really, really difficult for a lot of folks trying to get home yesterday along that heavily traveled Northeast Corridor. Let's go towards our incident pages now. It's really South Jersey is been the brunt of our action here this morning, especially this 42 northbound ramp to 295. That jackknife tractor trailer is still shutting down that ramp, 15 to 20. That's probably pushing about 30. 295 is now onto the shoulder south of exit 18. Also southbound at 57 in Hamilton, the shoulder is out. The northbound at exit 28. There's a left lane shut down as well. Parkway here, north into 148, all lanes are open. 287 north, the right lane is shut here by River Road. And the turnpike south of Interchange 3, all lanes are open. So let's go towards our maps. We'll show you the massive mess here with the closure of that ramp to 295 north. And a lot of folks are going to be moving over towards 168 here this morning. That is this here through Runnymede. That is going to be Black Horse Pike. So that's picking up a lot of the additional volume, especially coming off of 42. 55 is all tuned up here back through the Deptford Mall area. So this is probably at least 30 to 40 minutes just in this section alone. So if you're heading into Philly for work or for some other business at the Walt Whitman and Ben Franklin bridges, give yourself plenty of additional travel time. We'll widen up and show you the rest of South Jersey now. Pretty good start here along 55, 40, Route 9 and the Parkway. I think maybe some of our issues here, the roadways are slightly wet because earlier this morning there was some showers that kind of came through the 295 area, even over towards Toms River and down towards the area of Long Beach Island. But Central Jersey, we are in the clear, except for here in Edison. They're setting up that road work, or the road work's in place, really. The turnpike, the truck lanes going south of Interchange 10. The other spot I just want to take a look at is 24. Yeah, we're good here. Last couple of days, 24 has been really difficult with construction out by Columbia Turnpike, but I have a feeling they have finished that, so that is some good news. Well, that's what's happening again on a busy Thursday morning. Cara and Kristina, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Don, thanks so much.
So as we've been talking about all morning, allergy season arriving early in New Jersey this year. So what do you need to know?
Well, here now to help us answer that very question is Dr. Catherine Monteleone, an allergist immunologist at Rutgers Robert Wood Johnson Medical School. Thanks for being with us and helping to save us this season.
It's my pleasure.
So
good morning.
Good morning. Thank you again. So why is, we're kind of seeing these early allergies come in more and more often. Why is it important to kind of get a jump on that and pay attention to it?
Well, first of all, medicines work better if you start them early. Mm. And if you start your avoidance measures, you won't have the increase in symptoms that you would if you kept your windows open all season, for instance. So we like people to think about it early. If they know their pattern and they always have a problem beginning of April, then end of March, let's start with everything we can do to prevent your allergies.
Mm-hmm. So aside from early sort of medications, are there other steps people can take to kind of prepare themselves for this?
Yeah, you have to always think pollen is spread from the trees at this time of year. We see it covering, things like our cars. So it's going to cover you also if you're outdoors. So that's where the window's closed. Some parents actually have to drive their children to school because bus windows don't close well. So their children are getting a lot of pollen exposure and having a lot of symptoms before they get to school. The other thing is have indoor clothes and outdoor clothes. So go out, do what you want to do, come in, change, shower, get the pollen off of you. It's sticky and it does stick to you.
Oh.
Interesting. So, doctor, and it's funny, I have an aunt who was an RN for many, many years, and she always says this, and she says one of the most common mistakes people make, like you said, is they don't take their allergy medication regularly. She was saying, you're supposed to take it every day during your allergy season. A lot of people just say, oh, I feel stuffy today, let me take, a pill. Should people be taking it more regularly, and what are some other common mistakes people make?
They should take it more regularly to keep the symptoms under control. So the other common mistake is that they take an antihistamine and wonder why they're still stuffy. And the reason is that antihistamine is not a decongestant. So it's better for the itch, it's better for the sneeze, but it's not great for the stuffiness. And that's why they sell these medicines with decongestants. The problem is, if you're older, a decongestant can be serious to use. It can cause palpitations. It can cause people to even have strokes if they're overusing decongestants. And that's why we tell them, buy the over-the-counter nasal steroids. Those work well for the congestion, and you compare that with the antihistamine. So knowing the group of medicines that are out there and knowing how to use them is important, and people can ask their doctor if they're unsure.
Wow. I mean, we've heard Mike talk about this earlier, the allergy season starting early, most likely because of the weather and the lack of rain and the lack of, how dry it's been. Does this bode for a very tricky summer and beginning of fall because of that as well?
It can. Now, usually July, the pollens, there's some grass pollen still around, but trees are over and ragweed hasn't begun. So some people do a little better when it's really hot in the midsummer, but then mid-August to the first frost is weeds and ragweed, which is another bad allergy season for New Jersey. So it could, if we keep getting enough precipitation to keep the plants robust, it could bode for not only a bad spring, but a bad fall.
Doctor, before we let you go, I have to just ask, because this is kind of my personality. Are there any homeopathic treatments or preventative measures? We often hear about, take a spoonful of local honey as well, because it kind of exposes you to the pollens, but they're already processed. Is there anything like that you have found to be effective?
Well, nothing's as good as the medicines, but some people do have benefit with things like that, and it's always worth trying if it can't hurt you. Nasal saline, for instance, it's just, you never want to put tap water in your nose, but nasal saline can wash some of that pollen out, keep your nose moist, and just doing that does help some people.
Interesting. Yeah. Dr. Monteleone, thank you so much for taking the time this morning to speak with us. I really appreciate your insight and your information.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Because I feel it already. My eyes, I'm stuffy. I put the air filter on.
And it's only a matter of time before you see the green coating on your car.
Everything just
like,
exactly.
Gross.
Exactly. It's time to stock up. All right, so New Jersey, known for its diners, and now one diner has been named Best in the State. It's appropriately named the Tops Diner, located on Passaic Ave in East Newark, and has been given that honor in several different sources, including Food and Wine, Eat This and Not That, and Taste of Home. Tops Diner has been open for the last 80 years.
Look at the decor. It's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. I know people who are huge fans of this, and now I really feel the need to drive out there and go check it out.
Seriously, another road trip.
Another road trip. Add it to the list.
Yeah.
We're all going to go.
Speaking of eating and drinking, state lawmakers are considering a bill that would allow mall food courts to sell alcohol. The measure would issue special permits to restaurants operating inside of the malls. While proponents argue the change would bring more revenue to those businesses, other representatives from the New Jersey Licensed Beverage Association say, that move would actually hurt mall businesses that already sell alcohol. So if you have like a cheesecake factory already in the mall or places like that are already selling alcohol, they're saying, hey, wait a minute, that's going to take away from our revenue. People coming here to have like happy hour drinks or whatever, if they could just go to the food court and get a beer or something. So it makes sense, but it also brings more revenue to the mall. So it's kind of like a catch-22 and, the accessibility, I guess, people are looking for as well.
I feel like, and this is my first thought on that was, I feel like the mall food court tends to attract a younger crowd because it's a less expensive option.
Yes.
And so I have some concerns about alcohol being offered in that particular venue versus, like you said, the more anchor restaurants that are on the exterior where it is a bar, you have a server, someone's checking, it's, you know.
Right. So, I mean, it'll be interesting. It still has to be passed, but, you know, the proposal is, you know, for this to happen.
There's so much in this. The alcohol is very regulated in this state right off the bat. So I just wish they would put it in the grocery stores, honestly. I just want to buy my Marsala wine in the same place I bought the chicken breast.
And, you know, not have to go to specialized
Not have to go to the specialized store.
Exactly.
Anyways, a new report from Seniorly found that New Jersey is the 4th most expensive state to retire in. The ranking is largely driven by a high cost of living, including factors like residential utility bills and other housing costs. New Jersey is one of several states in the Northeast with high retirement costs. Yeah, I mean, I know so many, and it's sad to say, I know so many people, I have family members who, you know, retired and just said, it's not worth it to stay.
Yeah, just for the property taxes.
The property tax, which is a shame, and I think that, you know, again, that goes all back to a larger issue where, you know, if you either have already put children through a school system or you are not putting children through a school system, you know, maybe we don't pay so much into the school system.
Right. It's tough, and it's like, you know, so many people that, you know, finally retire, they paid off their house, but they're still paying ridiculous taxes on their property and their so it's, you know, it's hard. It's, you know, you can understand why.
Yeah.
So they're going somewhere else.
Yeah, there you go.
And for warmer weather.
Exactly. That would be the other one. That one you can't fix.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for something that is cheap in New Jersey, you might want to look for a used car.
There you go.
A new study from Clunker Junker says the Garden State is one of the 5 cheapest used car states in the country, with an average price that's about 4% cheaper than the national average, and that whole used car market went bananas.
Huge.
You know,
I mean, you couldn't get one. I don't know. You know, it's improved a little bit, but you know, during the pandemic.
But they're so marked up because there's still trouble getting new in. Yeah, it's a mess.
I looked out. I got my Clunker Junker right before the pandemic, literally months before the pandemic.
Did
hit.
you?
Yeah.
And mine. I mean, thankfully my car's in good shape. It's almost paid off.
Yeah. That's the other thing.
Like, just hang on.
I was like, oh, man.
And then last me like another 5 years because I still don't want to have to replace it.
Right, exactly.
So we'll see.
The cycle continues.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Up next, more on the Princeton basketball's upcoming NCAA tournament matchup against Creighton.
And a Tesla light show in Edison that's now going viral. And the latest entertainment news in the Behr Buzz. Don't forget, you can always watch the New Jersey Morning Show live on Roku. Just get the On New Jersey Roku app, then click Watch Live. It is free. No cable subscription is required. If you do miss the show, you can also watch it anytime on demand on Roku.
You're watching On New Jersey, the Garden State source for news, talk, sports, and entertainment.
We have big news here for On New Jersey.
We have an amazing show tonight, as we always do.
We are here at the iconic Drum Thwacket in Princeton with First Lady Tammy Murphy.
Will audiences be expecting you to talk Real Housewives issues? We're going to be discussing everything from working with small businesses to mental health initiatives.
Work has begun on the New Jersey Hall of Fame at American Dream Mall.
Here now to give us some more insight on the Giants' 5-1 start is Paul Patino. Paul, great to have you back on. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us.
Yeah, you're going to come at us, we're going to come at you 10 times harder.
Watch the Italian America Show every Sunday night at 8 p.m. on News 12 Plus and celebrate the best of Italian American culture. Each week, we will feature an exclusive interview with a prominent Italian American from around the country. You can watch the Italian America Show on Optimum 61, Verizon 530, or stream live from anywhere on News12.plus. For more on Order Sons and Daughters of Italy in America, visit osaya.org and follow along on social media.
Welcome back to the New Jersey Morning Show. Mike Favetta back with our final check at our forecast. You need those umbrellas, Mike.
Well. You know, I'm checking out that that little story that we have coming up about this light show. Really interesting stuff. Yeah, I'm watching it now because I have to give you the weather. That's what I have to do. I was listening to music. It was intriguing.
You were enthralled.
You were,
Wait for after Bear Buzz. You're really going to enjoy it. All right, we got to get to the weather today because with some beautiful sunshine on tap for Sunday, you may see the forecast and go, I don't know about this. A couple showers, a couple clouds, and pretty gray conditions until we get to Sunday. So tomorrow and Friday and Saturday, all seeing a little bit of that wet weather around. But I think by the end of the weekend, we're back to clear sky, 60 degrees, mostly sunny skies. Now, by Monday and Tuesday, there will be some clearing, but it'll be slightly cooler as temperatures cool off back into the mid-50s. And then with a little chance of a shower on Tuesday, we settle into that springtime feel of 50 degrees by Wednesday. So a little bit cooler as that rain comes in throughout the first part of the weekend, and then we skyrocket back to 60 on Sunday, looking beautiful by the end of the weekend into early next week. Can't wait for that spring-like feel, but at least the rain helps rinse some of those allergens from the air because it's been dry across New Jersey, as noted with a lot of those brush fires and the very dry conditions. So we'll take a little bit of rain as it comes down.
Yeah, we definitely need it for sure, Mike. Thanks so much. Enjoy the light show.
Thanks.
And speaking of a show, but it's a different one, Don Smith has another look at that morning commute, and it might be the brake light show.
Yeah.
It's the brake light show, or probably a lot of other words we can't say on TV, that kind of a show, because it is really, wow, just a big mess, especially in South Jersey. That's really been taking the brunt of our action here this morning. Let's get you over to the incident page. We got a couple of things going on. The first is 42 still north, the ramp to 295, that's still shut with a jackknife tractor trailer. Now 295 had been closed here at Route 70 just briefly. There was some sort of debris in the southbound direction, but it looks like that literally just updated here as they switched over to the graphics this morning. Also on 287 north at exit 9 at Piscataway, watch for a lane down. Let's go to the map and see. This is going to clear up. Again, they just literally reopened this here, 295 south of Route 70. So just be mindful of that. Give it maybe about another 10 to 15 minutes, and I think we should be good to go. Unfortunately, this is still the major issue here throughout the entire state is this 42 closure of the ramp to northbound 295. You're forcing all the traffic to westbound 76 as you get up into the Walt Whitman Bridge. But this is probably well over half an hour, 40 minutes or so. I'll show you the camera here in that location. And you'll still see that they are working on this jackknife tractor trailer, again, with that exit ramp completely closed. So there is really no other way other than to stay with 168. But you have to make that decision way back here off of 42 before you get up into this area. So, again, this is just really taking a lot of the extra traffic. That's Black Horse Pike and Clementon Road. That's 41. So give yourself plenty of additional travel time here between Washington Township, Gloucester Township, Deptford, Belmar, Woodbury, getting all the way up into the Camden area and over to the Walt Whitman and Ben Franklin bridges. So pretty tough ride here for friends in South Jersey this morning. It's happening here on a Thursday. Ladies, we'll send it back to you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks so much, Don.
All right, time now for the Bear Buzz. And Kearney's Point native Bruce Willis just celebrated his 68th birthday with his family. His ex-wife Demi Moore posting this video of the Willis clan wishing the Die-Hard star a happy birthday. Last year, he announced he was stepping away from acting after being diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia. While his condition has progressed, his family says he is in good spirits and had a great time celebrating his birthday right there. Looking good. Well, HBO's Succession back in its fourth and final season this weekend, not before taking a little Garden State with it. Just from the beginning, several Jersey ties could be found among the cast and the behind-the-scenes camera talent, over half a dozen to name, by the way. And of course, parts of the show were filmed in New Jersey. The season 4 trailer showed Logan Roy striding through the floor of ATN, that's American Television Network. Actually, it's CNBC in Englewood Cliffs. That's where they shot it. It also filmed at Teterboro and Newark airports, as well as Atlantic City. So pretty cool there. And the boss, meeting another boss, Bruce Springsteen, honored by President Biden, receiving the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Listen to how he was introduced at the White House.
For his extraordinary contributions to the American Songbook and for being the boss. One of
I mean,
performers and
his reaction right there is priceless. It's the nation's highest award for advancing the arts in America. He already has a coveted Kennedy Center honor, and this is the first batch of awards for the arts and humanities, and they were delayed by the pandemic. So this was really from 2021. I think this is the most I've ever seen the boss smile.
I know.
You know, like he was just elated, and the two like greeted each other like with
Yes.
high fives, and I mean, it's the boss. So amazing, so well deserved.
But still well deserved.
Yeah.
And what a source of pride, I really feel like. You
Yeah.
know, even if you're not a huge Bruce fan, just to be like, wow, you know, like somebody from this place, you know, has contributed to arts and
presidential
entertainment
honor.
in
Yeah.
that capacity.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible.
Really
incredible.
cool. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of a reason for pride, Princeton's basketball team dream run in the NCAA tournament continues. And here now with all the details is our own Chris Sakonis.
Princeton basketball is off to the Sweet 16 for the first time in school history. The 15-seeded Tigers will enter Friday's matchup against Creighton as the lowest-seeded team left in the tournament. They'll face a tough test in the Blue Jays, who come into this game having beaten 3-seed Baylor 85-76 in the second round. The game will get underway at 9 tomorrow night. Well, there's big news involving the other Cinderella team from the Garden State, as Fairleigh Dickinson head coach Tobin Anderson has been hired as the new head coach at Iona. Anderson takes over for Rick Pitino, who himself had left to make his Big East return with St. John's. Taking over at Fairleigh Dickinson is his former assistant coach Jack Castleberry, who will be unveiled at a press conference later this morning. Jets have traded wide receiver Elijah Moore to the Browns in exchange for a second-round pick. New York is also sending a third-rounder to Cleveland in the deal. Jets also signed wide receiver Mecole Hardman yesterday, making yet another change to their wide receiver room. The Jets had previously signed Alan Lazard, formerly of the Packers, last week. Here's a look at some of the pro action taking place tonight. Nets face off against the Cavs again at 7:30. Brooklyn will be looking to get even after losing to Cleveland Tuesday night 116-111. The Rangers will head to Carolina to take on the Hurricanes, who lead the Metropolitan Division at the moment. Devils are off tonight. They'll look to get over an overtime loss to Minnesota when they return to the ice tomorrow night against the Sabres. For the New Jersey Morning Show, I'm Chris Sakonis.
Thanks so much, Chris. So if you caught it earlier, this is what Mike was talking about, this viral moment of a parking lot filled with Teslas and Edison. Recently did a light show where the lights matched the beat of Natu Natu, the song that won the Academy Award for Best Original Song.
That's amazing.
The video has gotten over 10 million views on Twitter. I am always amazed by stuff. Just the thought of organizing that many people.
How much manpower went into doing that?
Like that.
Exactly. You can imagine driving by the area too, being like, "What the heck is what's going on?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'd be concerned. I'd be like, "Are the police there? What is going on?"
Yeah, it's really cool.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Well done, guys. Well done. That does it for us today on the New Jersey Morning Show. I'm Cara Falco.
And I'm Kristina Behr. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 9 a.m.